When the group members react to Taehyung and Jungkook's gestures, it's no longer just assumptions, but constant evidence that makes it clear that there's something between them that can no longer be hidden. For a long time, the bond between Taehyung and Jungkook has been shown in public with gestures that go beyond any kind of usual closeness. In various live shows, the two have shared moments that reflect intimacy, care, and attention. One of the most notable gestures is when Jungkook caresses Taehyung's belly or holds his hand midstream. These actions aren't done impulsively, but because there is trust, affection, and a consolidated relationship that isn't hidden. It's important to note that the other members of the group have reacted to these displays on several occasions. It's not just about what Taehyung and Jungkook do, but how those around them also notice it. The expressions, or contained smiles, of the other members reinforce the idea that they are witnessing something beyond what is normally shared in a group. A specific example is the moment when, while with Namjoon, Taehyung adjusts his shirt suggestively. This gesture, although seemingly simple, is performed with clear and directed intention. Jungkook, being so close, receives this non-verbal message directly, and Namjoon's immediate reaction confirms that the moment did not go unnoticed. It's a clear reflection of how they communicate with personal signals, which are understood by those around them. Every time Taehyung approached, Jungkook's eyes would immediately change. His presence alone was enough to make his expression go from tired to happy. That's what someone looks like when they have the love of their life right in front of them. During the time Jungkook was completely busy promoting the Golden Album, recording, and attending various locations, Taehyung was present at several of those activities. These weren't coincidences or just unreasonable, brief visits. Wherever Jungkook was, he was there too. Even if it was for a short time, even if he could only be there for a few minutes, Taehyung found a way to share that space. This attitude clearly demonstrates a need for closeness that doesn't respond to work commitments or outside interests. The most evident aspect of this connection is seen in the way Jungkook reacts every time he sees Taehyung. It doesn't matter how busy he is or how demanding his schedule is. His eyes light up naturally, without him even noticing, as if his body is acknowledging something important. That transformation isn't an act or a form of entertainment. It's a reflection of what Taehyung's presence means to him. There's no control in those reactions, just an automatic response to the person who means something real. It's also important to highlight that this has been repeated on several occasions. It's not something that happened just once, nor is it part of an established script. Jungkook can't hide what he feels when Taehyung is around. And Taehyung doesn't walk away when there's a chance to be with him. The frequency with which it happens shows that it's not an improvised decision. It's a pattern that has been seen time and time again. That insistence, that need to see each other, is clearly reflected in their movements, in the places they meet, and in the gestures they exchange. When Taehyung said his favorite flower was you, and looked him straight in the eyes, he didn't do it out of sympathy, he did it out of love. During an interview, Taehyung answered a seemingly simple question, "What smell do you like?" He didn't hesitate and said he liked flowers. But what was truly surprising wasn't that answer, but what came next. Jungkook asked him what kind of flowers, seeking more detail. Taehyung's answer was clear and direct, "He likes a flower called you." That short word had a huge impact. It wasn't a joke or a meaningless comment. It was a subtle and very direct way of expressing what he feels. Taehyung wasn't talking about an object or a common scent. He was talking about someone, using the word you, and using it right after looking at Jungkook. The context was clear. It was a way of saying what many don't dare say in public. And he did it naturally, as if he wasn't afraid of being interpreted as something more than just a simple phrase. The most important thing wasn't just what Taehyung said, but how Jungkook reacted. Upon hearing that response, his face changed. It wasn't an annoyed or awkward reaction, as some people would have it. What was seen was a soft smile, a shy look, and an attitude that showed he was enjoying the moment. That way he laughed without speaking, looking down as if he couldn't hold his gaze after hearing those words, shows how strong the bond they share is. Beyond what Taehyung and Jungkook do, there's another element that reinforces what we all already know: the reactions of the other members when they interact. The response of those around them serves as a mirror that reflects what's happening. On several occasions, these reactions not only show surprise, but also understanding, acceptance, and even a kind of silent connection. These responses wouldn't be necessary if what existed between Taehyung and Jungkook were something common or meaningless. When a gesture, such as a caress or a prolonged gaze, is made in front of others, and those others react, what is being confirmed is the existence of a relationship that can no longer be hidden. In the specific case of Taehyung's flirtatious gesture with his shirt and Jungkook's gaze, what is most revealing is not only the action, but the way Namjoon observes it. His reaction is not forced or improvised, it is the type of response someone has when witnessing something that is repeated, something they have seen before, and that is part of a familiar dynamic. Namjoon's body language isn't meant to interfere, but rather seems to accept this moment as something that has happened many times before. This leads us to believe that what the audience sees in fragments, the other members have constantly experienced from within. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook isn't an external idea created by Taehyung fans, it's a visible narrative that the group members themselves have confirmed without words. Many have tried to find different explanations for what happens between Taehyung and Jungkook. Some reduce it to jokes, others to simple closeness out of habit. However, when you look closely at the details, the result is clear. There are gestures, attitudes, and reactions that don't occur between people who don't have a real bond. The way Jungkook listens to Taehyung's voice, how he completely stops to pay attention, shows a kind of connection that doesn't depend on time or place. It's a strong bond that doesn't need words to express itself. The transformation on Jungkook's face after seeing Taehyung has been constant. At various events, broadcasts, and presentations, that expression appears without warning. No major action is required. A glance, a word, or a smile from Taehyung is enough for Jungkook's expression to change immediately. This isn't an assumption. It's been seen many times, and it always happens the same way. That reaction isn't provoked out of obligation or as part of a public role. It's a natural response that occurs when someone sees the person they love. Furthermore, there's a way of speaking, of looking at each other, of being present for each other that only exists between people who share something strong and true. The fact that Taehyung seeks to appear, even in Jungkook's busiest moments, is no coincidence. No one insists so much on someone else without a personal reason. No one shares so much space without a relationship to justify it. And no one repeats these patterns without something deeper behind them. Often, people try to interpret every gesture between Jungkook and Taehyung in a negative way. This moment, in which Taehyung compares someone to a flower called you, also received those kinds of comments. Some said Jungkook wasn't comfortable or that Taehyung wanted to provoke an exaggerated reaction. But upon closer inspection, what happened was very different. Jungkook didn't show anger. There was no discomfort on his face or body. What there was a soft laugh, a slightly more reserved posture, as if he didn't know how to hide his emotion. Those kinds of reactions can't be faked. They appear when someone hears something of personal value. In this case, Taehyung's words weren't just romantic, they were also direct. There's no need to explain much when the look in his eyes says it all. And Jungkook responded with just that, a look, a smile, and a silence that left no doubt. When someone reacts happily to that kind of gesture, they're not doing it to look good. they do it because they understand what it means. And Jungkook understood. His entire body responded without words. Therefore, comments that try to reduce that moment to a simple, meaningless phrase are baseless. Real emotions don't need translation. They are seen, felt, and repeated in gestures that cannot be hidden. Many Taehyung users have noticed that this type of situation repeats itself over time. Taehyung throws out a phrase, a look, a gesture, and Jungkook reacts immediately. There's no doubt that there is an understanding between them that goes beyond words. What for others may seem like a joke or an unintentional comment, for them it's a way of speaking without saying everything.